Alright guys, we are back in our beloved F-16. Today we are going to be practicing with some CBU-105s. But before we can do bombing practice, we have to remove the air defenses that are protecting our targets. So, let's see here. I'm trying to find the right loadout. I know I've got it here somewhere. Nope. That is not it. There it is. Okay. Okay. So we're going to be carrying on this first flight. We're going to be carrying 4 HARM missiles and 4 AIM-120Cs. We'll go ahead and set up everything here. So we're going to need to turn on our hard points for the HARM targeting pod. Okay, so those are on. I'm going to turn on our dispenser to bypass. Turn on our threat warning system. RWR and countermeasures are already on. Turn on our master arm. Okay, rearming is complete. So we are going to go ahead and go to air to ground. We're going to come over here to this right display, and we are going to power on our HARM targeting system. Click here and go to the HAD, which is what we use to control the HARM attack. Alright, so that's all set up, and we'll go to air. Got our AIM-120s already selected. Go to TWS. Set our range to 80. Set our scan to about 60 degrees. Alright, so we should be all set. We've got our air to ground and our air to air all set up. Go ahead and taxi out of here. Once again, we're on the Colosseum server. Colosseum is a great place to get practice for bombing and things like that. There's lots of ground targets, lots of AI air targets. Even if nobody is on the server, there's still plenty to do. So we're just gonna check. Looks like we're all clear. I don't think anybody is on the server but us right now. So we'll just have AI to deal with. Go ahead and get ourselves centered here. Turn off our nose wheel steering, and we're going to go full throttle, full burn. And we are going to rotate back. Raise our landing gear, and we are going to make our way towards the coast. We are targeting the same location that we targeted in another video, but I felt like we failed to truly accomplish our mission last time, as we were shot down. Well, we weren't technically shot down, but we had to bail because we ran out of fuel because we engaged that aircraft right at the last second. So this mission is going to be to try to complete what that mission failed to do. So we're going to want to get up to about somewhere between 30 and 40,000 feet, probably about 40,000 feet. We're going to climb really aggressively until we get to about 30,000 feet, and then we'll taper off, climb the rest of the way up at a much lower rate. The F-16 is a beast. Even with this heavy of a loadout, this thing can climb at a really impressive rate. As you can see, we're already at 20,000. Okay, so we're approaching 30,000, so we're going to lessen our climb rate a little bit. And then once we get to 30, we're going to go ahead and bring it all the way down to just below 10 degrees. Try to make our way the rest of the way up to about 40,000 feet. Still maintaining good speed, still good on fuel. Everything looking good for this mission so far. We do have to keep our eyes peeled for enemy aircraft. We really want to focus on the coast. There are some targets there that are very aggressive, but that will not show up until we get really close. So we want to focus on this. If you look on the right display, there's a cluster of air defenses directly ahead of us. That's where we want to be focused, is right on that. Okay, so we're approaching 40,000 feet. And we have achieved 40,000 feet, so we're going to level off. We're going to let ourselves gain just a little bit of speed before we back off the throttle. Alright. So now we are off of burner. Okay, so we've got one target in sight. We're going to go ahead and fire. So that's one harm missile away. You see the harm climb to altitude before it makes its dive. Got our second target, SA-3. I'm going to go ahead and fire on that. So that's 2 harms away. And now a 19 popped up, so we need to lock onto that. That is our 3rd harm missile away. We've already fired on the SA-3. There's our first successful hit. Okay, we've got the second 19 lined up, and that is all 4 harm missiles away. So we are going to turn cold. We have been fired upon. We're going to go into a dive. Go ahead and switch to air because we are out of air to ground ammunition. that is quite a bit of kills we've gotten with those 4 harm missiles. Looks like we have 13 ground kills from 4 harm missiles, so that's pretty successful. And their air defenses should be pretty much wiped out along the coast now. So our goal now is to RTB and arm ourselves with some bombs so that we can try to take out some of the ground targets that are remaining. Go ahead and let home know that we are coming back. Just because we had 4 good hits doesn't mean that all the air-to-air in that region has been destroyed. So we are going to carry harms with us when we go back, but we're also going to carry some CBU-105s. I had them described to me as they are weapons of mass destruction on the CBU-105. I have practiced with them a little bit, but I don't have a ton of experience with them, and definitely not very many successful hits with them. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and scrub some speed. You can see that's the airfield right there. Go ahead and use our air brake as well, because we are really moving. Okay. So we will go ahead and turn off our air brakes now that we're down to a reasonable speed. We're going to go ahead and lower our landing gear. This is going to necessitate that we throttle up a little bit to maintain enough speed to stay airborne. Go ahead and start to make the turn here. As you can see, we're really low on airspeed, down around 240, which is plenty enough to stay in the air, but the F-16 gets very loose, very floaty when you get down to these speeds. So we're going to go ahead and throttle all the way back. Okay. Pretty nice set down. too bad at all. Okay, so now we need to get off the runway. Even if you're flying alone, I think we are alone on this server. Yes, we are. We are alone. But even if you're alone, always practice as if people are there. So get off the runway when you rearm or refuel or both. So we're going to go ahead and get turned around. Alright, so let's go ahead and rearm. We are going to be carrying harms and CBU-105s. We're also going to make sure we top off our fuel. Now our enemies may have scrambled some fighters to respond to our strike, so we may have fighters between where we are and where we're going. We'll have to wait and see. One thing to keep in mind, when you rearm like this, all of your systems are turned back off, so you will have to power the harm targeting pod and all of that back on. Even though it was already installed, it will be reset to off. So to prepare for that, we'll go ahead and switch to air to ground. Get ready. The refueling is the part that takes the longest. Refueling complete, so now we should rearm shortly and we can get back underway. All right. Rearming complete. So we are going to power on our CBU-105s, and we are going to switch over to the harms and power those on as well. Okay, now on this screen, we're going to leave it on the HAD for now. Air to air is already set up, should already be set for the 120, so everything's good there. We're going to start off in air to air just because, like I said, there may be some hostiles patrolling now that we have struck some of their air defenses, but we will take a look and see. Alright, nose wheel steering off, full throttle, full afterburner. Just make small inputs to the rudder, adjusting for whichever way the aircraft decides to sway. We are a little heavier this time because we're carrying bombs, so a little bit more speed before we rotate. We are back underway. Don't see any aircraft in the vicinity, but we will keep our eyes peeled for that in case we have to go defensive. There were a couple of other air defenses that we completely ignored, at least one that we completely ignored on our last flight, so we may go ahead and try to take that out on this flight. Okay. So we're approaching 30,000 feet, at which point we will taper off our climb. Alright, go ahead and do that. And there is one of the anti-airs that we ignored last time. It is out of range currently. Okay, so we're struggling with speed a little bit, probably because of the extra weight from the bombs. So we're going to decrease our climb some to try to pick up some speed. We are almost in range of this anti-air. The left screen, if you look at the top right, we are looking for PGM-2. As soon as we get PGM-2, we are good to fire. So that's what we are waiting for. And there it is. So we're going to go ahead and fire our first harm. We've only got 2 this time. 1 on each wing. Alright, we're nearly to 40,000. See that harm climbing. I love that. I love how they take off and go way up in the air and then come down with the crazy reckless abandon. Alright, so I think that's the only anti-air that we have to worry about, but we will keep an eye. Let's change over to our targeting pod. Sometimes, I never understand why, but sometimes the targeting pod is not enabled and you have to go in and switch it to air-to-ground mode for some reason. Never fully understand why. So we're going to go to white hot so that we can hopefully see our targets. Alright, so we destroyed the radar and damaged some other objects. Okay, so here is our targets. You can see where we've hit some of them, but there are still more. Oops, and we forgot to switch to our CBUs. Luckily, alright. So we've got one target in sight. We're going to try to drop our first bomb and then quickly switch targets and drop our second bomb. We'll see how skilled I am at doing this. I don't have a lot of experience, but you see the little pointer on the right side of the HUD. It has to move within that bar for you to be ready to drop. So we're not quite ready to drop yet. Okay, so we should be about ready to drop now, so we're going to go ahead and drop. We are going to change targets. And we are going to drop our second bomb. So that's 2 bombs away. We are going to rotate left so that our targeting pod can continue to see those targets. Let's see if we have good hits. CBU-105 is a cluster ammunition, so hopefully it'll be quite a show. We are at really high altitude, so it's going to take a minute for those to get there. Just waiting for impact. And there is our bombs going off. Oh yeah. Cluster ammunitions are awesome. Look at the amount of destruction just from 2 bombs. We just wiped out a whole bunch of targets. Not just the ones that we had locked onto, but other ones as well. So while I would love to sit here and celebrate that success, we have an enemy closing in on us that we are going to have to deal with. We don't have a lot of speed. He's already fired on us. So we're going to fire a missile to hopefully make him go defensive. Going into a dive to pick up speed. Of course, I'm spamming the chaff and flare like crazy. I'm gonna put a second missile on him. Alright, so we are within 10 miles. We are going to go ahead and fire one more time because our other 2 missiles seem to have not hit. we have managed, because that fight took longer than I had hoped, we have managed to run ourselves low on fuel, which is definitely a big problem. I don't see our attacker anymore, so I'm not sure if he hit the water trying to dodge our missile, or if he is still somewhere back there behind us. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to drop some of this weight. We're going to drop our bombs and our harm missile and our exterior tank. So that will help us some. So the only thing we've got on us now is we have one AIM 120 still on our wing. Still got 1,300 pounds of fuel, so we got a decent amount of fuel. I'm having some kind of problem with my view for some reason. It kind of has like a lag to it or something. I'm not sure. See somebody shooting anti-air at us. I've been flying on contention so much I forgot that I have external camera views. I haven't had them in some time because they're not allowed on that server. Alright, so let's go ahead and call home. Let them know we're inbound. Still got a ways to go. The reason I'm maintaining so much speed is because you can see on our RWR right there, that MiG-29 or whatever it is still behind us. And we've got a little ways to go to get home. I'm hoping we can drag him into our anti-air and they can defend us while we try to land. The problem is, I haven't been able to spot him, and I don't see him on the screen, so hopefully he's a ways behind us, but he is behind us and probably following us. Alright, master caution, we're down to 800 pounds. We're going to have to throttle back soon. Go ahead and throttle all the way back. We're going to lose a lot of speed doing this. I'm going to try to drop down to low altitude. So we're down to 700 pounds. Judging by what I know about this server, it's probably actually a MiG-31 that is behind us. They often show up as 29 on the RWR, but it's actually a MiG-31 in most likelihood. If you saw the last video, we were in a similar situation coming back from a successful strike, and an F-14, we were running out of fuel once again, and an F-14 was following us home, and the F-14 didn't shoot us down. We turned hot on him and used the last bit of our fuel to catch him by surprise, and we shot him down. So we did successfully kill the F-14. The problem is the plane died out of fuel out here over the water, and I was forced to eject, and that's how our last video ended. So hoping for a better ending this time. Still don't see him on our screen, so that's a good sign. Hopefully he's going to turn around and go back home. Trying to keep an eye on our speed and our fuel. Down to 600 pounds. It's the only bad thing in the F-16 about carrying a full loadout. When you have a full loadout in one single fuel tank, fuel can be a problem if you get into a fight where you're on burner for... And part of that might be mismanagement on my part, being on burner longer than I should have been. I mean, we did fire 3 missiles at that guy, and somehow we didn't hit him with any of them. And there he is. He is behind us. Oh man, we might be about to repeat the same problem we did last time. We're almost to Sochi. Down to 500 pounds of fuel. If we turn hot on him and use our last missile, we are going to be in the same exact boat we were last time, which is out of fuel over the ocean and having to eject. But if we don't go and turn hot on him, he may shoot us down. I'm not sure if our air defenses are going to fire on him. We can see Sochi, it's right there. Ah, he fired on us. Our air defenses are firing at him. Ooh, this is going to be close. Do we have enough fuel for an approach? Yeah, something is really wrong with my view controls. I'm having a hard time controlling where I'm looking. We're going to go ahead and lower our landing gear. Because of that, we're going to have to throttle up, which means we're going to burn more fuel. This is going to be really close. going to go ahead and throttle all the way back while we dive. Try to gain speed that way. Our landing gear is down, so that's going to keep us from gaining too much speed. £200 of fuel left. Well, it's certainly not how we drew it up, but it's not over yet. Closing in on 100 pounds of fuel. Gonna go ahead and throttle all the way back. Oof, it's a little bit hairy. But we made it. Mission complete. And look at that, we've got a little bit of fuel to spare. All right. So that is 2 successful strike flights on Colosseum server. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We made it home safely this time. Let's check and see how much fuel we have left. We are at 2%. So we have 2% of our fuel remaining. We barely made it home. But we did make it. Any landing you walk away from, right? Alright guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video, and we will see you in the next one.